What's going on, guys? So today's podcast is pretty neat, and we're going to call this the Get Back on Track podcast because every single thing went wrong when we were trying to record this between video and everything else. So this is a real mixed media podcast. It should be almost completely through where everything on here makes it onto the video, but I like it because I think it goes hand in hand with getting back on track. So without further ado, here we go.
Yeah, I just lean into it.
Yeah, lean in on me, man. Oh, good. Now my mic's not showing up.
Never mind.
Oh, there we go. All right. Oh, gosh. I think I was back the whole time. I had pushed my button. Push your button.
Push it.
Everybody's buttons on?
I am blue. Orange. Now I'm blue.
All right. Let's roll it.
Stand up.
Just keep it in. Keep the lean in on one of you.
I got you.
Just keep it in. Keep the lean in on one of you.
I got you.
Speak with some reverence. What's up, y'all? So we finally got this podcast rolling here, and I'm yelling too loud in my mic. All right, so here we go. Rob, why don't you run? We got that answer.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Let's see. Rob, do you get sore?
No.
He said no.
No, it's false. I do get sore, but it's sore via inflammation or a lesser version of DOMS, meaning I do a specific volume that I never go above, number of working sets, because I know after how long I've done this that that's my acceptable range that I can work with inside my capability so that I don't either injure myself and I don't push myself to the point where I can't make the next workout and I have diminishing returns.
Yeah, for sure. And check this out. I went over this a little while back, but it's been a while. So one of the main reasons you get sore is because your body is trying to heal that muscle, right? So it's going to increase the inflammation to that muscle because the pathways are less established in that muscle. So as your blood flow gets better and better to a given muscle, then you don't need to get as sore because your body doesn't have to inflame that area. So naturally, that it's kind of like if you get a cut on the outside of your hand, your body's going to inflame that in order to bring more blood flow and get more toxins away from that area, right? And as far as the extra tissue your body kind of like throws a bunch of layers on, then it breaks it away and leaves what it needs. So it's going to throw that inflammation there to increase that. And so the more that you work out regularly and the more that you work out your muscles, the less likely you are to get as sore because you don't need as much inflammation there. And in fact, if you work out pretty regularly and you're still getting massively sore, you probably need to check your recovery, your protein, everything else. Yeah, that's a good question. You got anything on that?
No.
Delicious?
Well, I know what is sore. In layman's term, my shin muscle from the broad jumps.
Yeah.
Muscle on my shin,
yeah.
Why is it? It's still.
That's a perfect guess. So right, so
strong.
That's it. So the non-layman muscle is your tibialis anterior. That's the name of that muscle there. You can get all fancy on you,
yeah.
But the reason that's sore is because do you do any running? You don't do any running, right?
No.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that you need to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Hey, side note for you guys, he's got a bronze star and a silver star, yeah? And so in his bronze star write-up, I just read this the other day, he does a sprint from point A to point B. So you see there was no 3-mile run required there. There was just hurry up, get over there, and then do some more.
30-ish.
Get some more work done, right? But yeah. So the reason they're probably sore is because that landing that you're having, right? Mm-hmm. And pulling your heels up really aggressive as you take off because you don't want to drag your toes. So everything's kind of ramped up. You jump, you pull up really aggressive, and then come back down, and that kind of like overstimulation that you're not used to, because you're not doing any of these.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it.
It's sore all week. I haven't been sore all week for anything.
That's it. Sweet.
Trash.
So see, every now and then everybody will figure out something that gets a little sore. All right, let's see. So let's see, what do you recommend for a pre-workout drink? So that's a pretty good question. It depends on what the goal of the workout is, right? So that's how I do, right? So the two pre-workouts I use are either Total War, these are both from Redcon, or Double Tap. If I'm going to be breathing a lot, I like Double Tap. Opens up my blood vessels, it's a fat burner, and really that's kind of a... That's not an accurate statement. It's a fat mobilizer that helps you use fat for energy, right? So that's a better way to say that. And so if I'm doing something that's a little more breathing to it, then I prefer that. I want to try to use as much fat as I can for fuel, and I want to try to breathe, right? If I'm just jacking still and there's no heavy breathing required and I'm skipping the 200-meter run warm up, then total war's where it's at, because I just want to be max stimuli, max into what I'm doing. So depending, you got anything different on that?
Go ahead,
No,
sir.
I take Reaver every day.
Yeah.
I take the same thing. I either run Total War or run something like low dose caffeine, high garnitine, all your taurine, all your niacin, garninine. Just same thing. Just get like NO through the system, help blood transportation, try and survive.
Yeah, for sure.
I normally don't take it, but I scavenged some today because I know we're going to do the 1 rep max bench. And Rob's on 10 today, so I was like, let me see if I can take some to the head. So I took some today, but normally
You took it to the dome?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why he got 355.
No, 35.
So these two had a nauseam distance argument earlier as to what weight Jermaine did.
It was 335, wasn't 55. That's it.
That you kept it clean though.
Yeah. That's it.
It was 10s, but I keep them clean. Rob, what did you work up to today?
455.
455. That's so impressive.
No.
Can't squat 455.
It's
See,
very
that's why you
impressive.
hurt from the broad jumps.
True. Got him.
That's fantastic. How about Bang drink? I like Bang. All right, so pre-workout, I don't like it at all. It almost always makes me feel dehydrated. Post-workout, so a couple things. So being not dehydrated, but the mechanisms that cause you to be dehydrated means that you're probably having a vaso expansion. And so that could help you get out more toxins. So I think that's probably a good thing. And then the other thing is post-workout reuptake of glycogen is increased by caffeine. So a high level of caffeine after you work out, plus something you like tasting, mixed in, of course, with some carbohydrates and everything else, then I think it's a great look. By itself for pre-workout, I don't like it, but my wife is a machine, and she drinks them all the time. She mostly drinks Total War or Double Tap, but if like we're on the go, we're out somewhere, and we didn't come by it, we'll swing by the Tom Thumb and grab one. And yeah, I mean, but she's just different than me, so I got to do everything right. I'm this side of the family, and Jesse's this side of the family.
Yeah.
As far as can wing it. She definitely does everything right for the most part, but she can wing it more than I can. What else? What other questions you guys got? Type them in, because we're going to fire y'all if not.
Yeah.
We will close
The
you
Bang
down.
thing, too, you keep in mind, is like it's carbonation. So you're inducing carbonation before you're trying to work out. You're trying to
You're like,
contract everything, squeeze everything.
That's right.
So increasing your abdominal pressure while you're holding carbonation in.
That's it.
Hey, it's going to come out somewhere.
That's right.
Ass.
So man, that's probably the best point. Thank you for making that. It's a bit hard to hear Rob. That's because
That's
it's
it.
hard for the sound waves to travel across his pecs. They said, "Speak up, Rob." No, they can't hear you on there. They're hearing you on there.
Oh, in that case. All right, then. I'll put some bass.
You gotta put some bass on it. That's it. What Rob said was something about Jermaine's awesome, Jordan's the best. I don't know. We weren't really listening.
It's true.
Yeah.
I hope we're not too loud on these mics when I go to back it down, but oh well, let's roll with it. What else, man? What other questions? All right, here we go. How important are intra/post-workout carbs, and what % of your total carb intake would you recommend at those times? So break that into two questions. Two questions, right? So how important are intra carbs, and then post-workout?
That's all you.
We'll let Jermaine answer that one.
Yeah, come on. All right, so for like a scientific answer, a good framing is you want the preponderance of your carbs pre, during, or post, but you want them in a specific manner. So you want something that has a high glycemic index, meaning you can utilize it fast. You have 6 receptors that take in the carbs. So numbers, basic numbers you want. If you were to say you're going to have 6 meals a day, broken down by every 3 or 4 hours, like a pretty good way of doing it. If you say you work out at 5, you go to bed at 10.
All right, so
Just
real
remember
quick,
numbers.
let's give this into something that a normal person can do.
18% and 25%
Okay.
is what I do. I do that because it just
18%
maths
intra,
well. Yes.
25%.
So I do coconut water or Gatorade, 45 grams of carbs, because it's 32 ounces, which is exactly my shaker bottle. Maths well. Post, I do 75 or 95 grams of carbs, because it's 4 scoops of MRE or 3 scoops of oats, and it's just easy to get it down. And
If
that's
somebody
what
were
gets me
eating
through
3 times a day, right? Because that's probably
I
the
would do
average
50%.
listener. 50%
Yep.
posts.
I would take that. I would do my pre and my post would be 50%.
Gotcha.
My next meal would be 35%, and then 15% for the last.
I'm not certain that's still recording us. Let me double check that.
The reason for that would just be when I work out, I use the carbs. So I'm depleting the glycogen stores in my muscles and then in my liver, and I'm then pulling them. I'm pulling what I have on board stores to refill that glycogen from my cells, my adipose cells.
Right.
So if I have it pre, super important because now I can survive my workout. If I have it post, when my body's pulling from the onboard stores, I'm refilling the cup so that my body doesn't go into a deficit, thus catabolic state. And now I'm making negative returns on the work I just did, breaking myself down.
For sure. So he said 50% intra and post. How to break that up, I think, is going to come down to your tolerance a little bit too, right? So some people can tolerate a little bit more carbs intra, some people not as much. Some people, depending on the carb, you'll take some intra and then you'll end up shooting your insulin way up and tanking in the middle of your workout. So it kind of depends on you as a person. So I like that 50% for most people. Try to figure out, what does that look like? Is that like 15% and then a whole bunch after? Or is that 25% with 25 after? And I think play with it. What Rob says he does is 18 and 25 because he's going to systematically break down that remaining, God, whatever that is. 20,
Yeah, I do
20,
18, 25, 18, 10,
43,
10,
the remaining 57%.
18, yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what I do is, and this has been, I think it's working for me because I've been doing it for about a week and a half because I put on like 10, 15. I'm trying to get down.
10, 15 in a
pounds.
week and a half?
No.
Okay,
10 or 15
period.
pounds
All
like
right.
in the last couple months.
If you
it's all
gain 10 to
included.
15
No,
in a week
no,
and a half,
on
it's
that
either
juice
really
bit.
working or not at all.
Yeah.
No, so like now before I come here, because I work at 5:30, I'll have a scoop protein just to get something in my system going, and I'll get here. I usually have like the EAA,
Yep.
essential amino acids, something to drink on. I don't know why I like drinking stuff while I work out, but I do. So I'll drink that while I'm working out.
You like a giant baby, man.
Yeah, big baby.
You like me
Put a
to
nipple on that.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't know if it was gonna go there, but
So after the workout, I'll have like 60 grams of carbs and then like 2 scoops protein.
Yep.
And then like 3 hours after that, I'll eat. I don't even measure really. It just has protein and carb and fat in there. I don't even measure. So like my last 2 meals of the day, so I'll have that 3 hours after my protein, and then 2 hours after that, I'll have another shake with a scoop, and then 30 carbs, and then like dinner I have minimal carbs, like almost none, and a lot of protein and like vegetables, and then before I go to bed I have an isolate.
do you do any fat with your dinner?
If it's built in,
Yeah,
I don't add it.
For sure. That's a good point, too. Some people ask about that. If you're going to have a meal that's fattier, I think it's better to have it at dinner time because it's not even going to start to enter your system for about 2 hours after you sleep. And then it's going to act as the energy surplus to help you continue to build muscle while you sleep, right? Because it takes energy plus protein in order to build muscle.
Same. That's exactly what I do.
For sure. This was maybe the best question was, did you guys already work out? Because Rob's hair is on point.
Always.
Always.
It don't matter if I work out or not. It ain't moving.
That's it. Rob could be in the middle of a grappling match.
Yeah.
Still be good.
Perfect.
Gotta maintain.
Gotta maintain. What other questions you got, man? Type them in. We're going to kick y'all off soon, so you better hurry up. So you're going to have to stay tuned for the rest of the podcast to hear the answers. What you got? Type them in. Here we go. So preloaded question we have. This is a good one. Is on low body exercise, do you find that most people have a hard time activating their glutes during a squat, deadlift, etc.? And if so, why? And or why do I never think to use my glutes?
Because you don't train them. If you don't, so a lot of people where they fail to grasp how to be good at something is they don't mentally check into what they're trying to do. So if you don't naturally do it because you didn't do athletics, you didn't play the sports, you didn't do it not thinking through it, so almost parasympathetically, then you have to mentally think, okay, I'm in the bottom, I grab the bar, slack is out of the bar, but hamstring back, quad, extend. If you don't think in that order, you don't have mind-muscle connection. So you're not going to have it where the sympathetic function comes in of like, okay, I want to squeeze this muscle. I'm telling myself squeeze this muscle. This muscle is now squeezing, and I'm able to do the lift.
Yeah, for sure. And probably the main problem that happens is we get too concentrated on the barbell weight, right? Or too concentrated on what percentage I'm supposed to use and everything else, as opposed to like this exemplary movement pattern, right? So like this is something that I've tried to teach people as much through time is every single rep is practice, right? So sometimes people are like, man, I need to practice my clean, or I need to practice my deadlift, or practice. Nobody wants to practice their deadlift. Like in reality, they just do deadlifts, right? So I need to practice my clean or my snatch would probably be the two that I would hear the most, or my jerk, or I need to practice my handstand push-ups or whatever. Every single rep is an opportunity to develop those neural patterns, right? So if when you're doing a clean, on your warm-up already, it should be very deliberate what you're looking for as far as movement patterns. And when you're deliberately shooting for that, then you're going to have a great return on that. So whether it's strength or muscle, if you're not focused on that, then your body is going to try to be as efficient as possible. If my quads are really strong and my hamstrings are really weak, why would my body want to use my hamstrings? If my glutes are really weak comparatively, why would my body want to use my glutes when it could just use my hamstrings and low back? Right. So that's where you want to be specific in how you're lifting compound, but this is why there's such a great emphasis at our gyms, right, towards lagging muscles. Because if I don't put myself in a specific manner that lets me squeeze my butt and my butt only, well then maybe I never wake my butt up when it comes time to do it clean. So this is where your accessory and lagging muscle stuff really pays its dividends when it comes to your compound movement. And this is why for every single movement, doesn't matter what it is, deadlift, squat, bench, doesn't matter, there is a muscle that's holding you back more than others, right? So if you don't have strong triceps, you build your triceps up, your bench will go up, right? Now you want to do that obviously systematically together, but regardless, a muscle's holding you back. If your chest isn't as strong, you build your chest up, your bench is going to grow up. And the neat thing is when you're working the lagging muscle side, you're not putting all these miles on the joints as a whole. You're able to isolate it down, use less weight, more focus, and challenge that muscle. So then you're not accumulating all this extra inflammation to go with it, right? Yeah. What are y'all's 2020 goals?
Mine is to strengthen my core. I mean,
that is the most mature answer, bro.
I try it every now and again.
Yeah, man.
No, seriously though, because
did y'all hear what he said?
Strengthen my core. So, I mean, I have abs. I mean, they're not showing as good as they used to because I put on weight. But I have abs, but like that's nothing if your core is not strong.
That's right.
You can look good with abs, but if your core is not strong, it's nothing. You know. So my goal is to strengthen my core as a whole, and not just the abs you can see. You know, 6, 8 pack, whatever you got.
It's just such a hard life, man. Just got all these abs, but the core.
That's my goal. I mean, what?
No, that's a fantastic goal. Yeah, man, and it's the same thing we just talked about, right? So stability, deliberate movement versus, in this case, just the aesthetic outcome, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it transfers across all your lifts. Like if your core is A1,
that's it.
You're good. It protects your back.
That's it.
Everything. So like, and you know, I had the back issue, so that's my main thing.
Absolutely.
My core strong.
Absolutely. You know what's funny about that for me specifically, right? Is like I always was able to develop my core strength, but it took me forever to develop my appendage strength, right? So like my arms were weaker, my legs were weaker, but my core was so strong I still could lift more than other guys. And I'm like, well, I don't just want to be strong, I want to have the aesthetic muscle to go with it, right? And so you can call it vain, call it what you will, but I'm trying to fill out a t-shirt at the end of the day as well, right? So that's, for me, I had to learn how to do the same thing through individual muscles, and so I feel greatly blessed to have never had any good genetics because I ended up with a fantastic education on how to make that happen as well. Yeah. How about you? 2020 goals?
200 pounds, less than 10% body fat, more than 1,800 pound total.
That's it. That's regimented. He was ready. That's it.
I was 191 this morning, so I got about 9 pounds to go uphill.
But
I'm too vain, to your point, to
That's not vain, man. So like, it's like we wear the clothes we wear, your hair and everything, because some sense if you're taking there's a difference between like vanity and putting your best foot forward, right? So if you're trying to put, if I'm gonna teach my son, I want to teach my son to the best of my ability. If I'm gonna lift weights, I want to lift weights to the best of my ability. There's for me, I'm a believer guy. So for me, there's a Bible verse that says, whether then you eat or drink or whatever you do it all to the glory of God, right? So whatever I do, I'm gonna do as much as I can to be honoring of that statement. And so it's the same thing. If I'm gonna get dressed and put on clothes, I want to, or work out, I want to still put my best foot forward, right? And I think that there's a difference between this hyperfixation and selling your life out for that feeling versus I don't want somebody to have given me $5 to invest and I only invest 3 of them, right? So that's the reality. I'm trying to always impact lives as much as possible.
And then you're lying if you're saying you just want to be healthy. You're trying to look good too.
Everybody wants to be healthy,
that's
look
the most
good.
Cookie cutter crap ever. I
feel
want to be
that.
healthy. That's like, I'm gonna get rid of all the toxic people.
Now listen, depending on your life situation where you're at, healthy might be that first step. So that could be very realistic for a lot of people, right? So if you know that you have a very unhealthy lifestyle, then that might be the most realistic goal. But then at some point you're going to want to get stronger and aesthetically look better as well, right? So it's not if you're saying it's the absolute, maybe. For like I think about my mother-in-law. For her, of course, she wants to look fit. I know that has to be true. It's the same thing we said for everybody, like you said. But her main goal is to be able to play with her grandchildren too, right? So yeah, it's if we're all being honest, then everybody wants to try to be fit, be healthy, look great, feel great. Like these are all good attainable goals. And I don't think any of them are problems unless they become the only focus of your life, right? So the main focus. Yeah.
I would rephrase, don't say be healthy.
Yeah.
Have a tangible metric associated with it. Whether it's
what
blood pressure,
blood.
VO2 max, some codified number that you can hold yourself against. Being healthy is super nebulous. Like we could all be healthier here if we just ate better, rested better, worked out less hard, but still had a bigger effect. So codify that as a small victory that's tangible.
That's right. Hi, baby. Sorry, my daughter said hi.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. So here's a good question. If someone is trying to specifically build a muscle, say the chest, how do you attack that weekly? What accessories do you focus on weekly outside of the planned workout? Asking for a friend. Hey, that's a great question and a perfect time to shut you guys off. You're going to have to stay tuned for the rest of the podcast to get these answers. That's right. That's right.
I mean, yeah, they could just do whatever Maine does because he got a big
or
chest.
do what he does.
Have a good day.
Who asked that, out of curiosity?
What's that?
Who asked
Oh, look, I can see where I'm about to shut us off. All right, we're still recording. Good, so we can make sure we answer these questions. Brendan, Alex asked that, and then Brendan, his brother, asked almost the same question. All right, so how to build. Same thing. So we're actually fixing to drop some stuff like this on Facebook, but there's a lot of ways you can say it. I like to say stabilize, start, stimulus, right? So meaning if I want to build my chest, then I have to stabilize all surrounding muscle to where the main muscle moving. Now you can do this too, but let's just say we're talking flies. So I want how many bones to move? I want one bone to move. If one bone is moving, then I'm isolating. So first thing I'm gonna do is pull my scapula back, right? Because if my scapula is moving, how many bones are moving? 2. So I'm gonna set my scapula back. Then next, I just want my humerus to squeeze, right? So as long as just my humerus is coming in, right? That's not a funny joke. That's the top arm, right? So I'm gonna pull where this connects to the center line. But more importantly, so that's the stabilize. The start with a light enough weight that you can make sure you're not just moving weights, but you are only squeezing your chest to bring that across, right? Yep. And then for the stimulus, what I mean for that is you're not trying to obliterate anything. You want to actively feel for a couple sets, I used my chest. I'm squeezing, I feel it going through the range, I'm working everything. And if you're actively feeling that through a couple, liken it to practice, right? You know when you're practicing something and you're getting progress, if you're practicing squeezing your chest for a couple sets, you feel it happening, well, your body's going to recognize that and it's going to start to do it. If you're just going to the point where every set you're just like, okay, yeah, you're probably not practicing anything. You're probably just switching to other muscle groups, right, to be able to continue to move that weight. So I'm not telling you need to train with a feather, but nowhere near the max weight you could use that, at least in the beginning, till you get fantastic control of that. And different body parts are going to be different, right?
Yep, 100%.
So,
yep.
yeah, for me, I have great control of using my triceps and shoulders. I have not great control of using my biceps. I have to like find the perfect angle to stabilize in order to make sure I'm actually starting and stimulating that muscle. Yeah, for sure. What do you got on that?
Same thing. I was talking to Sevilla about this the other day because she was talking about the overhead press, and I was explaining it in two pieces to this. The first thing is you have to understand you have to build the strength, then you have to build the technique, then you have to couple both. So to your point, exactly, practice.
That's right.
Like in practice, you're just doing bulk things. So you're building a strength. You're working that concentric, eccentric, deliberate movement and activation muscle. Then you build the technique. So whatever the application of that strength you just built was, and then when you couple that, you make it in the movement, right? So to your point of flies, what am I doing? I'm building bulk strength through my pectoral muscle.
That's
right?
right.
The application is to get a better bench, the collective movement. How I refine it is through technique practice, whether it's dumbbells, whether it's the barbell pauses,
right.
whether it's chains, whatever it is, so that then holistically at the end of it, I get on the platform.
That's right.
So I use the same methodology. I say you have to stimulate, then you have to nutrition.
Yeah.
If I don't give stimulation, nutrition doesn't matter. I can eat all day. I'm just going to add adipose tissue.
That's right.
But if I stimulate blood flow, microfissures, tears, exoskeletal load, metabolic stress, then I add the nutrients to what I just stimulated. It recovers, it heals it, and it grows it. If you do not stimulate, it doesn't matter what amount of nutrition you give it. And if you stimulate, no matter how much you stimulate to the point of even breaking something, if you do not give nutrition, it will not grow.
That's right. And like Rob has talked about and plenty before, is the very next piece of that is recovery.
Yep.
If I stimulate the muscle and I give appropriate nutrition, but then I turn around and rework that muscle too soon, there's never this super compensation of growth. There's only right back to using this nutrition to continue to utilize and move and stimulate the muscles. Yep. So you need to help. The best way to go about this is to start conservative and work your way more aggressively, not to go like, shit, I'm gonna build a better squat. I'm gonna squat every day. Like, you can, but you're missing this recovery piece, and the nutrients are never gonna end up feeding across.
Right.
You'll have what we call a weightlifting honeymoon, which means you're going to get stronger in your squat for probably the next 6 weeks, because it has nothing to do with your muscle, it has everything to do with your neurons. You're practicing a little bit more, so you're gonna look like you're stronger, but your muscle actually can't produce any more force than it could before. It's just more light switches are being turned on in that muscle.
Just efficient.
That's it, that's right. So you can get a honeymoon by over concentrating on anything, but it's kind of like you have your best friend in the world, and then you go on a road trip with them for 6 weeks, and by the end of it, you guys want to strangle each other, right? Don't do that. Don't strangle your friend, man. You hang out with your friend on a Monday, then you see him again on like a Wednesday or Thursday. Y'all be boys for life. You know, you ride in the car with them every day. I don't know, man. Somebody gonna get it.
I've seen that, and I've actually done it like ages ago, where you do like the 10x10 back squat thing, or 5x5, like really heavy.
Just do more.
And you're like, oh shit, my squat's going up.
Yeah, it's going up. I got the honeymoon, son.
And then
then the knee.
Yeah, stuff start hurting.
Then the back.
Like, okay, we gotta stop this, But while you're doing it, you're like, yeah, my squat is good, but it's not maintainable over a long period of time.
It's not, and the crazy thing is, you don't feel pain till you cross the pain threshold.
Fact.
So this is where your pain, not tolerance, but let's say the if this is an acclimation, right? So you accumulate and then eventually you hit pain and then go above. You can be down here and you start off with this, squat 365 or something. I'm sure that's a program, right? So you're going to squat every day. And so you're down here, and then all of a sudden you're squatting and you're feeling no pain, but you're grinding your joints. You're grinding your joints too much, right? And then eventually you're grinding, and you went for the first 6 weeks and you had no pain. Then you hit pain, and the problem is now, by the time you get here, you feel this, and almost everything you do is not doing this slow. It's almost like ratcheting up. So then you stop squatting for, like 3 or 4 days, and you're like, oh, just, I feel a little bit better, and you come back to about here, and you feel a little bit better, and then you shoot right back up. So you're trying to get back down to here, where I do a bunch of squats, and even though this goes up, I never feel any pain. There's no problem in here. Yeah. And that's where this over volumization comes from, right? Where there's just way too much volume coming in. In reality, that's where our hybrid came from, which was we wanted to be strong, look strong, and have the conditioning of an athlete. And so that's like, to your point, you said, you want to practice the movement to build the neurons, but you also want to increase the muscle. And if you only concentrate on one of these areas, then that's all you're going to have. So you got to mix it all together. You should be able to look like you can do something and, in fact, be able to do something. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Any other thoughts on that?
No, it's 100% true. That's what I was saying when we were live. Exactly. I know my window of volume. I know that 25 sets plus or minus 3 is my optimal window. So what we program for, so the strength portion, I don't go above whatever the percentage is. I'll take the low side percent by design, because I know if I go high side of it, then I'm going to have to give back some on my accessory, or my isolation, or my volume.
That's right.
Just because it's give and take. There's only so much battery life, so much recovery,
that's right.
So much physiological response I can do, exactly to your point, the acclimation of metabolic stress on the exoskeletal. Bone density only happens so fast.
That's right.
Calcification only happens so quickly. Microfusion only repairs so fast. So at some point, you're going to give and take. So if you go super heavy, super hard, 5x5s, anything above 80%, to your point before, that 90% window, you're doing more than 6 reps, something's going to give.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be your enjoyability or your gains that are going to get better because of it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man. And that's a great point, right? So he's saying that if he tried to do just more big barbell volume, no matter what, even if he could get through the exact same accessories, the recoverability from the entire picture is not going to be there. And not only that, he's going to accumulate more inflammation by overpressing this. And the real goal is to do enough of this to stimulate your hormones and neurons, and then enough of this to concentrate from that stimuli to increase what your lagging muscle looks like, right?
Exactly.
That's it, man. Let's go. You know what? I need to hit something on your phone. I think grab your phone real quick, because we got to click share that video. Hopefully it's still an option. That's it. Bring those big biceps and that phone over here. Yeah, there we go. Share the story. Forgot that little tidbit. All right, cool. Let's see. You guys have a favorite workout or favorite thing to work out?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite.
Yeah. Are you more? We did this on another one. Upper body or lower body? You said lower. You said
lower.
upper because no matter what.
Yeah, if
can't
I'm
see
at a
your legs
desk
in
or
a
something,
t-shirt.
if I'm briefing a DV, an ambassador, Department of State, something like that, and I just get the suit and tie, or if I'm just an OCP, whatever it is, whatever I'm presenting is above the table. Then when I stand up, you can get the rest of the enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
The rest of the brief happens.
I mean, that's
when he stands up.
as the other half of me, all 5'4" is standing up.
Yeah. Well.
So here's a good question, right? So it says, it says consistency. How have you guys developed such unwavering consistency? So at a micro level, I don't think any of us have unwavering consistency, right? Meaning day in and day out, none of us are perfect in our execution of how we want that to look. But from a macro level, no matter what, we get back on the track, right? So in 7 days, 6 of them might be great, 1 of them might be whatever, but I don't let that one day lead to 3 or 4 days. I just get right back on the track, right? Or even intra-day, right? So if I didn't eat breakfast, I'm not going to just continue to skip meals all day. I'm going to get back on the track and get back on my plan, right?
Yeah. Same thing. We joked about this before. Is I did the math out for last year because we were talking about it. I missed a total of 6 expected training days last year. Out of 365 days, only 6. But that's it. Macro, out of a year, 6 days.
Slacker.
But what that really look like? That was that could have been a day that I was just super over it, whatever, dealing with life,
sure.
kids, work.
You need more recovery.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly to the point of unwavering. In the context for me, I've been doing this since 4th grade, and then my career that I've been doing for the last 16 years. Like, we don't get messed ups. And like, if you get a redo, you
Sure.
have to own it.
Sure.
So the same thing here is like, I doesn't like motivation went out the window. Like my motivation workout, that's gone.
Yeah.
That been gone.
Yeah,
It's like
you'll
elementary
find
school.
fun intra workout
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
but
Like
it's
making
about an
Jermaine do
outcome.
355,
Yeah, that's right.
335.
That's right.
That's motivating.
Bring it to the chest.
And good stuff.
Get a spot.
Yeah.
But let me get 3 fingers. I don't even know one finger left.
It was one.
Can I
It was
get an
one.
extra finger, please?
Was it one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one.
There it is.
I was like,
So like for
355 with a double finger spot.
his double finger is probably about a good 100 pounds.
touche.
Yeah. So I think time over consistency over time
Right.
builds that. Being able to just get up, show up, and do the work. Do what you can for that day. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to be a monster every day.
That's right.
So you come in, show up, do what you can do, and take it to the house.
That's it,
That's
man.
it.
That's it. Ultimately, get back on track, right? So I'm trying to think. The person asked this question. I think you were in the Never Quit course when Marcus Millard talked about this. He's a chief combat control friend of mine.
Yeah.
But he talked about that no matter what, everyone is coming off the tracks. Everyone. The ones who are successful are the ones that identify and get back on track, right? So it's like you want to travel this way and then you start going this way. You identify, you correct, get back on. You start traveling this way, you identify, correct, and get back on. And a good part of that is whether it's your spouse or a friend or whatever, no matter what, you're going to have to, accept responsibility for yourself and say, this is something that I'm trying to do and this is where I'm going to go. Having a friend or a spouse or somebody that is a running mate, like for me, there's just basically no chance I could go like even probably a day, like 2 days without Jessica being like, what's up? Are you, what are you doing? What are you going to do something? And she wouldn't give me a hard time. She's just checking in with me, right? So checking in with a friend can be very helpful. And if you check in with them, then they'll probably check in with you. And then the other thing, dude, is like, it's got to be about you. It's got to be about you. You got to be the own hero in your story. And you have to say, what is this I want for my life? What is this I'm trying to do? And it can't be. I don't do anything to impress either of these guys or anybody else. I don't do anything to impress my wife
His jawline's
or
good.
nothing. Not that I'm not impressive, but I don't do anything with the goal in mind to get other people to say, wow, great job. I do it so intrinsically in my heart and my mind I can go, yes, I'm proud of that effort, right? For sure. So, and again, like we talked about early, right? I'm going to do everything to the best of my ability to bring glory. And again, I fall off those tracks every single day, but I just get right back on them as quick as possible.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. We're all going to fall short. If the ones that are successful, just get right back on, and you don't lament over it too long,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
you don't live in that dead space. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That sit down with the Bella ice cream space.
That's
It's not a
it.
good space to be in.
That's it, man.
I can't believe the ice cream.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, no.
That's probably how you gain 15 pounds.
I ate a lot of stuff. Gain that
Bluebell Country. Over time, yeah, this is a great question. It's an interesting question that you asked this. It's over time, for someone, what issues could someone expect with weak obliques and glutes? So issues is it's a good question. The people are tremendous at adapting, right? Got a buddy of mine, blown up, amputee, one leg, has no problems. He crushed it because the body's good at overcoming. So the answer is you can overcome everything, but it's not going to be optimal. So maybe the issues are you could cause imbalances, you could cause pain, but eventually your body's going to probably develop fascial patterns to help you figure some of that out. Mostly I would say you're just not going to be best potential, and that's why you want to try to train everything to the best ability. Yeah, and external obliques are the first thing that gets stabilized when you actually start lifting almost any weight, right? So that's important. And then your glutes are great for keeping your spine neutral. Every time you squeeze your glutes, they bring your spine neutral. Yeah. So, it's those are super important muscles, which is why I'm super proud that you asked that question. But you can do it without. I mean, people do all kinds of stuff without. Yeah, that's the neat thing is that we are so resilient, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it. I can think of the 3 distinctly different ways to bench press, and all 3 different ways I can show you 3 different champions of high level, right? So you got like a very anterior delt bench, a very lat bench, and a very pec bench, and all 3 are going to be a different position, and I can show you guys who are fantastic at all 3. Yep. Or girls. I can show you girls that are fantastic at all 3.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's see. Smoke Tuesdays. So this says, this specifically to me, you mentioned a while back that you don't get sore as much or as easily. Can you explain that? Conversation again. What's the difference from you doing the same workouts and how a lot of us are smoked after Monday and Tuesday, and how you seem to not be as sore and still choking people out? Sometimes I am sore, and those are the days I get extra choked out, right? Yeah. I don't get as much superly sore as much as I feel fatigue setting in, and so that's one of the main benefits. So one of the main reason that I program what we do a week before is so I can do the workout as programmed. I can see what the outcome of that workout is, and then if I have to make adjustments up or down, I can. After 10 years of programming, I almost humbly never have to make any adjustments, but sometimes I'll make small adjustments either up or down, right? Or I'm or I will have something programmed, and on the way in to do it or the night before or whatever, I'm already like, that's too much, that's not accurate, so I need to adjust that. And so one of the benefits for me, especially, I'm not that old, I'm 34, I'm about to be 35 next month, but I live first with this. Children, right?
Yeah.
What you about, 56?
57.
He's not 57. Right? So one of the benefits is that I start here and then go to here, right? So I if I'm not feeling as great, I warm up a little bit more. I'll eat a little bit more food. I'll get a little more rest. I'll do a little bit less, right? I'll go a little bit lower on the percentage. I'll adjust everything according to how I feel that day. And that's why almost all of our workouts have a spectrum to it, right? Because you guys need to have that freedom to be able to adjust based upon how you feel. Most of the time I'm on the lower end of the percentage, but sometimes it's a high percentage day. I'm feeling great, so maybe I'm on the high end. Depends, but I would say check your recovery and start with your lifting here. If you took all of your questions, your glutes and everything else, and you backed your weight down and got very deliberate with your movement, you would probably recover a little bit more, and you would probably be a little bit stronger to go with it.
Yeah.
Here's the only downfall. When somebody looks over, they're like, that's all you got on your bar. I'm good with that. I can sleep at night with that. You know what I mean? So that would be the only downfall.
Yeah, I think that drives a lot of people, though.
Of course it does.
You know, you see someone doing X amount of weight.
Did you just stop recording again?
It's done.
That's it. Hey, man, that's a good question. I think we might have to answer this. You know what? We'll go in the black real quick. Go ahead. Finish this, and then we're out.
You see, you're doing a lift, so let's say you know what you're doing. You're trying to fix a position or get stronger in a certain lift, and you're using a lighter weight, but the person next to you is doing the same thing, and they're doing heavier weight. So, a lot of people ego lift, and, you have to, throw that out. You can't do that, or you're not going to get better at whatever lift you're doing.
Yeah, 100.
So just worry about yourself.
That's
in
it.
the end.
That's
Don't
it.
worry about what the next person's
That's
doing.
it. In a positive manner, right? So,
Yes.
do your thing, have fun, focus on not the lift today, but where this lift's going to take me.
Right.
And then you can use
End result.
What you're
End
result. Any last words?
No, same thing. It's exactly happening. We either work out together or work out next to each other, and that's exactly if there's a large weight disparity for a percentage.
Usually
then we work
it
out
is.
next to each
Usually
other.
it is.
But last week when we did the chain bench,
Yeah.
it was just I'll throw a plate on the outside and I'll go very deliberate. I'll do an eccentric focus, and then we'll stay in the same weight range because I'm getting what I want out of it, which is pattern development, while they're getting what they want out of it, which is strength development.
Right.
And the same thing, it's completely nullifying yourself of ego lifting because there's no good that can come out of it. You may look good for that one day, but exactly the same thing is that your honeymoon lifting, it's all cool until you blow something out and then you're out for 6 weeks.
That's it. Then you tweak your shoulder a little bit.
Yeah.
Final words.
You're done.
Done.
Out.
Signing off.
Yeah.
We're going on 3.
1, 2, 3.
Booyah.